Hey, gang, and welcome to yet another Seductive Poison the Resurgence triple threat review show. I'm going to be talking about Cat's Eye, The Cellar, and a Spanish horror film called Cemetery of Terror tonight. Um, I think I'm going to be going it alone tonight. Candace and Chris have had a lot of things going on with their house and stuff like that. So I did send Chris the link, but it's possible that he will not be on here tonight. So probably won't be on here very long. Just we'll be discussing these films and giving my rating, and then yeah, that'll be it. But I did want to remind everybody that there will be a couple of shows going on tomorrow. Hey, Blissful. Uh, the first will be Terror Time Tea, starting at. I'm still planning on 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. It could be possible. I've got to work a little bit later than I have been the last few weeks because I didn't quite work as late some of these days this week as I usually do. So I'm still going to try to keep that time slot, but with me, it could be changeable, right? And so I will be talking about Night School and Wes Craven's The Serpent and the Rainbow. I'll be having some tea and some frosted lemon cookies tomorrow. Then at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Candace will be joining me for Friday Foolish. I still need to come up with a few more films to talk about. We're going to be talking about some of the most bizarre films we've ever seen. That's not just horror films, it could be comedies, dramas, sci fi, whatever. And this is probably something that we'll revisit too at a later time and talk about some different movies. I hope they are. I haven't yet tried them yet, Blissful, but Candace told me that they were very good cookies. So evidently she has tried them. Oh, goodness gracious, folks. I am so sorry. I have been yawning like this like most of the evening. Again, my blood sugar's been kind of uneven, and I may even have to get up and grab an ice cream cone during this. I'm sure that you guys that come here on a regular basis to listen to me ramble know that sometimes I have to get up and get something with some sugar in it to help out. Um, no movie munchies or watch alongs this weekend. In fact, I am taking a few months off from doing the movie munchies. Just allow me a little time to recharge my batteries and come back stronger with the movie munchies. Um, but next weekend, there will be some watch alongs. Um, so hopefully, I can have all of that stuff up in time for you guys to decide. And I'm sorry if you hear my dogs barking. I'm probably going to have to get them in a minute. They're having a fit. They had to go outside right before I got on this stream. Um, Also, I wanted to let everybody know if there's some topics that you want or particular films that you want to hear me review or certain topics that you want me to talk about or certain things that you would like to see me and Candace talk about on Friday Foolish, some things you want to see me do watch alongs for, please, feel free to put those in the chat. And I will consider any and all suggestions. But guys and gals, it does look like I'm going to have to go and grab something to eat real quick. I will take myself out of the stream. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. Sorry about that, folks. So let's go ahead and get started with Cat's Eye. This is a Stephen King film. I more than likely have talked about it before. But like I say, for these triple threat review shows, I usually just randomly pull stuff off my shelf. And these were the next three that showed up on my shelf. So I absolutely love Cat's Eye. It's a great group of stories. Um, and the wraparound is fantastic with this cat going through each one of the stories and having experiences of his own. There are also little nods to Christine and Cujo. Um, this was directed by Louis Teague, who also did direct Cujo. Um, so the first story is Quitters Inc. or Quitters Incorporated, whichever way you want to say it. And it stars James Woods. And Drew Barrymore does show up playing James Woods' daughter. She is in a special school for children with um, mental handicaps, apparently, or a mental disability. I'm just trying to make sure that I say it the right way. Um, but James Woods' character wants to quit smoking. So, anybody that has ever tried to quit smoking, this story will really resonate with you. And I've never smoked a cigarette or any other substances by way of a cigarette in my life. But both of my parents used to smoke. My mom still does smoke. My dad gave it up years ago. In fact, I wish that my mom could. She has tried several times and has so far not been successful. So anybody that has had any connection with smoking, whether you smoked yourself and quit, you still smoke, or you know people that do smoke. That's a lot of people there. And so we start out the movie um, with James Woods going to Quitters Inc. And Alan King plays Mr. Donati. And Mr. Donati runs Quitters Inc. And so, James Woods' character thinks it's kind of weird because he goes into this place and he's filling out the paperwork like you would for any of these places, like a doctor's office or a place where you go to quit or learn how to quit smoking. And a man comes out with his wife, and the wife is crying, and she appears disheveled and all that. And, James Woods is like, okay, what's going on there? But I'm not even going to get into it. So then Mr. Donnie comes out and says, hey, I'll see you now. So he goes back there, and he tells, or he asks James Woods, he's like, do you have cigarettes on you? And he's like, well, does a bear shit in the woods? He's kind of trying to make a joke about it. And Mr. Denye's like, please, And so he hands him the pack of cigarettes. Mr. Donati takes a look at them, spreads the cigarettes out on his desk, and then proceeds to karate chop them while screaming. And, James Woods is like taken aback by this. And he's like, damn, this guy's crazy. And then proceeds to tell him about their methods, which the methods are unorthodox at best. And at one point, James Woods' character is going to get up and leave, and they've locked the door on him. And he's like, you're going to be talking to my lawyer if you don't let me out of here. But Mr. Donati is not phased in the least. And so he tells him, this is what we're going to do. And he shows him an electrified room, and the cat that goes through all the stories is in this electrified room. And, he's actually, Mr. Donati's going to show him what will happen to his wife if he smokes. Sorry, guys and gals. I'm going to let the dogs in. Apologies, gang. So basically says boogie down, baby, and plays some music. The cat's flying up in the air and all that. I'm sure animal action was monitored, so never fear, cat and animal lovers everywhere. I'm sure the cat was not injured. And James Woods is like, stop it, you're killing them, And then he says, no, a little crispy around the paws, but other than that, he's okay. So then he proceeds to tell James Woods, he's like, if you smoke, we'll know it. And he said, I guess you'll bring me down here and put me in the old cat cage. He says, or cat room. And he says, no, we'll bring your wife down here and put her in the cat room. You get to watch. And that's exactly what they do the first time he smokes. They had put somebody in his house to watch him. Where he gets caught is he's stuck on the freeway in traffic, and he thinks, he finds a pack of cigarettes in his glove box. He thinks, I'll just kneel down here and I'll take a few puffs off of it. someone honks the horn behind him. He sits up, startled, and a guy in the car in the next lane sees him. And he drives home as quick as he can, but they've already broken in and taken his wife and kidnapped her and taken her to this electrified room. And they make him watch as they shock his wife in this room. And so eventually, James Woods' character quits smoking. Um, Due to the fact that Mr. Donati and his thugs say that if he continues to smoke, they will send someone out to rape his wife and also do horrible things to his daughter. And so he quit smoking. And then some of the next few scenes we see are James Woods getting weighed by Mr. Donati, and he says, you put on a little weight. And they seem to be on good terms here, which I don't really understand, but but he's quit smoking. But Mr. Donati doesn't want him to go over a certain weight. And he gives him some diet pills, and he says they're highly illegal, so use them sparingly. And he says, are you going to send a guy over to my house with a flamethrower if I go over a certain weight? And he said, and Mr. Donati laughs and he says, no, I'll send someone to cut off your wife's little finger. And they laugh. And then the next thing you know, him and his wife are with a couple of friends of theirs having a dinner party. And the husband of this other couple was the one that told James Woods about Quitters Inc. And so they're all doing a toast, and they're toasting to Quitters Inc. And when the wife of the other couple she hesitates, but then she puts her glass up to everybody else, and they're saying Quitters Incorporated or Quitters Inc. And you see James Woods look at her little finger, and it's missing above the knuckle. And then we go into the next story, which is about Robert Hayes' character, who he's a tennis pro, and he's messing around with this rich guy's wife. So Robert Hayes is kidnapped by the thugs that work for this guy, and he's forced into a bet involving a stroll around the rich guy's building. And it's a very high building, and the other guy does a lot of things to him to get him to fall. Well, he does manage to make it all the way around this building out on the ledge, and the ledge is what this story is called. And he makes it back to the guy's apartment, and that guy is none too happy. And he tells him, he says, I promised you 3 things. Your car will be clean of drugs, because they put a bunch of cocaine in his car. And they're going to give him some money. And he said, and this is the most gruesome part of the story. And he says, and you get my wife. And he kicks over this bag, and his wife's head comes rolling out. And now it's fast. This movie is only PG-13, so it's not really gory, but that was one of the most shocking parts of the 3 stories. Um, so I'm not going to tell you the complete ending of that, but you might be able to guess what happens. The tables get sort of turned. Okay. So the final story is the Drew Barrymore story, and it's called General because the cat shows up at this little girl's house, and of course, she wants to keep the cat, but her mom doesn't like the cat. Candy Clark plays the mom, and the mother doesn't trust the cat at all. If the cat is there to protect Drew Barrymore's character. Now, the original, um, one of the original scenes for the film that got taken out, I'm not sure if they took it out because they thought it would disturb film goers or what specifically, or somebody just didn't like it. But at the beginning of the film, a funeral is shown for the little girl, Drew Barrymore's character. And it is, assumed that the cat stole her breath. Okay. But the cat is not to blame. Okay. So they took this particular scene out. So that scene is no longer in the film. So we begin the film with the cat showing up at their house. And Drew Barrymore's character has a parakeet. And there's a little troll that comes out of her wall, and this is what General the cat is supposedly protecting her from. Okay. And the troll kills the bird, but guess who gets blamed for it? The cat, right? Because cats kill birds, right? Dogs can kill birds too, though. So great little group of stories. Um, I think the story of General was an original story by Stephen King, but both Quitters Inc. and The Ledge, I believe both of them were from Night Shift, a Stephen King anthology book. So um, I'm going to go ahead and give my, well, didn't mean to go away like that. My mouse has been acting kind of crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and give my rating for this. I'm not going to give it the highest rating, but I like this one enough that I'm going to give it 4 deadites out of 5. Nice, tight knit little anthology film with Stephen King stories in it. I don't think you can go wrong with this one, actually. And I would highly, highly recommend it, especially if you've never seen it before. And I think a lot of people that are in the same circles I am have seen Cat's Eye, but I'm not going to, guarantee that. Um, so if you've never seen Cat's Eye and you can find a for free version of it, I would highly, highly recommend that. Okay. So the next film I want to talk about tonight is The Cellar, and this is directed by Mr. Kevin Tenney, who did Witchboard and Night of the Demons and many other films. Now, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that The Cellar was a very troubled production. Okay. And they kind of had to fire somebody and call Kevin Tenney in. So I will say it's a pretty decent monster movie, but I wouldn't put it as high up on the chain as Night of the Demons and Witchboard. Those are probably my two favorite Kevin Tenney films that he ever did. Um, so this is a story about the Cashin family, and they've just relocated from the city to a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere in Texas. Okay. And once they get there at their new home, Willie, the young son, explores the area and befriends a Native American shaman who warns him of the powerful forces and apparent curse on their land. While at home, Willie senses that there's something going on, okay, with the cellar in their new home. Specifically, that something strange might be living down there. And unfortunately for the Cashins, it's very hungry. Um, Now, I like this movie. Like I said, it's a good little monster movie. However, I did find it rather slow. I like my monster movies with a little more action in them. And again, I don't blame Kevin Tenney for this at all. You know, he was kind of thrown into a film that they had to get rid of the first director and probably didn't really get to put the Kevin Tenney stamp on this movie like he did with Witchboard and Night of the Demons. Okay. Um, so a little slow, not a lot going on, and it could have been a lot better of a movie, I think. The pacing was the big thing with me that seemed a little bit off. So, um, not a whole lot more I can say about The Cellar other than it is a monster film, a creature film. So, I'm not going to give it the lowest, but I'm definitely not going to give it the highest. But I'd say it's somewhere around a 3 to 3.5 deadites out of 5. Worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch, especially if you like creature films, right? Um, but that's The Cellar. And the last one I want to talk about tonight is, as I said before, this is a Spanish horror film, Cemetery of Terror, directed by Ruben Galindo Jr., who also did Don't Panic and Grave Robbers. Both two worthy films to check out. Don't Panic is really, really bizarre, including a guy that I guess is about 17 years old who wears dinosaur pajamas like a young child. In fact, I think it was Vinegar Syndrome that also put out Dope Panic, and they sold some dinosaur pajamas, which Steve bought. I think they were probably about 30 to $50, I think. And he sold out of them pretty quickly. So let's break down the plot just a little bit for this one. So it's Halloween night, and there's a group of bored teenagers. And when teenagers are bored, bad things happen, right? So they decide to pull a ghastly prank and steal a corpse from the local morgue, and they take it to a nearby cemetery where they perform a satanic ritual in an attempt to bring it back to life. Unfortunately, they happen to choose the body of a savage serial killer who has just been shot dead by police, um, and ending a recent spate of satanically influenced murders. So they revive this guy or bring him back to life. And then they risk becoming dinner for the devil worshipping zombie. Yes, you heard me right, devil worshipping zombie. Um, with only occult expert Dr. Carden, played by the legendary Mexican character actor Hugo Stiglitz. If you don't know who Hugo Stiglitz is, look this guy up, right? Able to try and put an end to the madness. Now, this is the directing debut of Ruben Galindo Jr. It's described as the wildest zombie movie to ever emerge from Mexico, filled with extra gratuitous gore effects and feel right at home in a Fulci film, which I agree with, and all of the ludicrous plotting of a Bruno Mattei epic. Um, Cemetery of Terror's nonstop thrills and bloodshed from beginning to end. So, yes, it's fun. Yes, it's gory. Um, and kind of was my introduction to Spanish, these Spanish slashers, I guess. Now, yeah, I'd seen pieces before this, which when we talk about Spanish horror, we can't leave out pieces. But other than pieces, I had not watched a lot of Spanish horror, right? At that point in time. So I have to credit Steve with introducing me to Cemetery of Terror, Grave Robbers, Don't Panic, and I believe Edge of the Axe was a Spanish one too. Um, and I've liked, every one of them for different reasons. Um, they're always kind of wacky, kind of off the wall, and have like it says in the description, gratuitous gore. So if you like zombie films, you like gory films, um, and you like, you know, things like Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think Don't Panic's supposed to be like a Nightmare on Elm Street, sort of. Um, and I don't know what's happened to the signal on here, but all of a sudden, the signal, I'm not even on wireless right now, so I don't know what it's doing. Maybe there's a lot of people that are on StreamYard right now and a lot of people streaming in general. Um, but um, I am going to give this one 5 deadites out of 5. And you're probably thinking, Dana, you love Stephen King and you didn't even give Cat's Eye 5 deadites out of 5. Well, the reason why I'm giving this one 5 deadites out of 5 is because of the fun factor. I mean, this is so crazy and out there and fun, um, that I think 5 deadites out of 5 is justified for Cemetery of Terror. I would highly, highly recommend it as well. Um, the only one I couldn't give my highest recommendation is for, of course, The Cellar. But if you like slasher films, if you like gore films, if you like zombie films, if you like weird, off the wall type of films, then you're going to find a lot to love with Cemetery of Terror. Blissful, you say I'm good. Okay. It just popped up there for like half a second, which, like I said, it's going to happen from time to time. It usually doesn't happen when I'm back here at my desk doing these because like I said, I'm not on the wireless at that time. Usually I have a problem when I'm on the wireless sometimes, but got a little bump in there. But I guess that's going to be all from me tonight. Um, I hope that you guys and gals have enjoyed hearing me talk about these films. Maybe there's one or two of them, or maybe all three that you have not watched and you'd be interested in seeing based on me talking about them. And that's all part of the reason why I do this. Is not to get my face out here, but to talk about films and get people excited about films that they may have not seen or may have not seen in a while. So I want to thank Blissful for, keeping that chat active, even though she didn't have anybody else other than me to talk to tonight. Um, Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, great live. I have a few to add to my watch list. Um, I also want to thank those of you that maybe didn't feel comfortable being in the chat tonight that were kind of stopping in, because I look at the numbers. I know that people are in here watching. So for those of you that were watching and not chatting, that is fine. I am glad that you were here, that you stopped in to see me talk about these movies. And also, I will remind y'all once again that you will see me twice tomorrow. The second time joined by Candace, but I will be doing Terror Time Tea tomorrow. Still playing on 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be talking about Night School and Wes Craven's The Serpent and the Rainbow. Having some tea and some frosted lemon cookies tomorrow. And then at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, join me and Candace for Friday Foolish. And we will be talking about some of the most bizarre films, not just horror films, but some of the most bizarre films we've ever seen. So be sure to tune in for that. Blissful says they were awesome and left thumbs up. So thank you for that as well, too. The more thumbs up I get, that brings me higher up on the YouTube analytics when people do searches and things like that. So thank you very much. So I'm off like a dirty shirt. And as always, I want to remind everybody to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time. Bye for now.